Akhtar Badshah is the Senior Director of Community Affairs for Microsoft and the Chairman of the Board of the Business Civic Leadership Center. Akhtar, I would say welcome, but I guess you're kind of home here at the BCLC.
I am at home at BCLC. Thank you very much, Tim.
Let's get right into the conference that we're here at, the Adding Value in Emerging Markets conference. Is there, from your view, a changing role of business in society?
There has always been a role for business in society. But I think if you heard the keynote that Brad Smith gave today, he kind of emphasized opportunity. And I think that's really what business does well, is help create opportunity. Now, how do you take the work that business does very well, create opportunity through the services, through the products, through any kinds of innovation that business creates, and extend that out into the underserved community, so you can create a opportunity track that goes across the whole spectrum of population that needs to be served. So I think that's what we are seeing more and more today, is businesses thinking as to how can they be in the opportunity business.
We've heard the word sustainability a lot over the past several days. Is sustainability taking on something outside of the relating to the environment today?
I think, yes. The short answer is that people today look at sustainability not just from an environmental perspective, but they look at it from the perspective is whether what you're trying to do is going to be there for the long term. Are you staying in it for the long term, or is it something that you're just going to be doing for a short period of time, resources are going to run out, and then you're going to move on to something different? Or are we doing things in a way that it can have a life of its own and continue to perpetuate the impact that you actually wanted it to have? And that's the framework in which we are now using sustainability, rather than it being just environmental sustainability. But at the end of the day, the word is the same thing, is that, how do you create a mechanism by which value continues to be added without anything that gets extracted out of it?
So there is likely to be a relationship between sustainability and opportunity.
That is correct.
Do businesses have a responsibility, not just a role, but a responsibility to their communities?
I believe yes, because at the end of the day, businesses are made up of the community. You're not devoid of the community. You've got employees, you've got people, you've got services, you've got customers, you've got clients, you've got other businesses that all are dependent on you, and you live and thrive in the same community where you have your offices. So to say that you are actually not invested in the community, you are, whether you want to or not. You live there, you contribute there, your employees are there, you use the facilities there. So in some ways you are engaged, and therefore it becomes important to understand from a responsible perspective, what are you contributing back into the community that you are in.
As we sit here on October the 6th, 2011, I think that there can be no doubt that there are some business sectors that the public has a very bad feeling about. Is there a way for some of those business sectors to be drawn into the responsibility to their communities by other responsible businesses such as Microsoft and Adobe and others?
I think that, in every business community, there will be ups and downs. And you will go through phases where in certain parts, certain risks were taken, certain shortcuts were taken to do things that did not pan out the way it was supposed to pan out. Or people did things and then it just became a bubble and a bubble and a bubble. And all of that then gives a bad name to business. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I also want us to be partly responsible as citizens to the problems that were perpetuated and created. At the end of the day, you can't clap with one hand. you need two hands to clap. So you have to be involved in doing that. So I think that, you know, we need to become, in some ways, as citizens, also responsible to ensure and hold businesses' feet to the fire, to make sure that they are being responsible citizens and contributing and giving back. And I think that becomes an important role for all of us to play.
All right, so if I, as citizen, were to hold Microsoft's feet to the fire in terms of contributing to the community, I think it'd probably do pretty well. What of the programs in the community that you oversee, what are you most proud of?
What I think we've been proud of is that we've been able to create programs that are global, scalable efforts. It's not something where we have done and said we've reached 100 people or 1,000 people or 50,000 people. We've reached 250,000 people. We've reached, you know, 1 billion people. We've reached, you know, in certain programs, 190 million people. We are in 100 countries. So to create a system by which you can implement these programs that can scale and can become partnerships and can get deep into the community is really what we are proud of. The second thing I'm very proud of is the fact that we have created an ethos and a culture at Microsoft where our employees give back into the community and contribute back into the community, whether they are able to give back through their time, whether they give back through their talent, or whether they give back through their treasure. And it is that cumulative way in which giving back and contributing back takes place, extends outside of Microsoft when they leave the company, where they become the alumni, and even as an alumni, they're contributing into the community, and we see some phenomenal examples. And this does not even extend to the Gates Foundation or the Paul Allen Foundation, but it is regular employees who are going out and continuing to do the good work that they were doing when they were in the company.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you create that culture?
I mean, I think that this is not something that you can create overnight. This started off very early in the phase of the company. It started off by, you know, Bill and others, because of who they were and where they came from, starting to inculcate this. And as the continued to grow, it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's at a point where I don't think you can actually do much with it. It's there. It's part of the DNA of the company. And it's that part of the DNA of the company that then also extends into the other work that we do, which is the most strategic investment that we make through our citizenship and CSR program.
Is it part of your business approach as well? Your citizenship, your CSR programs, is it good for business?
It has to be. I mean, we are a company. We are not an independent foundation where you can do things in a very different way. And because we are a company, that is also a strength, because you can marry some of the things that are happening within the company and extend that out into the community in a way others are not able to do. And that becomes because of the products that we have, the solutions that we create, the mind share that we have, the lots of people with enormous amount of talent that are there. Now you put all of that into the mix and create programs. At the end of the day, you must believe that it is doing good to the company, whether it is for its reputation, whether it is for its image, whether it is for people retention. And at the end of the day, it is creating value into the community, and we hope that those people that have benefited from our investments are looking at us in a positive light, and it's giving us the license to operate in those communities in a far more effective way.
Is that okay? Is it okay for the company to be seen as, yes, you're doing great things in the community, but we know it's good for the company too? Is that okay?
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be okay.
The Business Civic Leadership Center, you're chair of that organization, and it's an organization made up of a lot of different businesses. Do you see more and more businesses thinking like you do?
I think more and more businesses have been thinking in their own way, given their own priorities and given their own companies and their own culture, I think the common thread is that we need to invest in the community because we have the opportunity, we have the ability, and we have some of the intelligence that is needed to make a difference because of the resources that the company has. And more companies, whether they are large companies or small companies or medium-sized companies, are thinking about that in very different ways. Part of it is even what you heard today with the, with this young man trying to create bracelets and other kinds of artisanal stuff using waste and recycled material that is coming out of Haiti, but is doing it in a way that it becomes a business. And as that company grows, it will extend itself into other ways of giving back into the community. But there are other companies that have a very strong geographical presence in a particular community, and they understand that they need to give back into that. So from a BCLC perspective, we want to look at all of these various examples as to how companies invest back into the community. And that's really what we want to encourage, it's what we want to promote, it's what we want to highlight, and we want to share best practices.
How likely do you think that that's going to happen? Especially the sharing best practices, because businesses aren't known for sharing.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Because when you look at businesses, businesses work because different companies come together to do things. We will compete, we will partner, we will collaborate. It's all part of doing things. I mean, so businesses know how to work with each other. What happens is that in this space, the opportunity to come together sometimes may not be there. And the role that BCLC is playing through its map, through its sharing, is giving other companies to understand where investments are taking place and how we can work together. I mean, we've got examples of so many businesses cooperating and working together around Haiti. Now, each may be bringing their own value add, but at the end of the day, they are coming in through certain partnerships, whether it has been driven by the Inter-American Development Bank or by the government of Haiti or by BCLC, to look at certain aspects and say, we can do this together.
At the end of the day, is there a sustainable opportunity or are there sustainable opportunities likely to be built as a result of the business sharing in Haiti?
I think so. And you're seeing some of those examples. I mean, look at the work that many of us have done with NetHope, which is a consortium that is supported by Intel, by Cisco, by Accenture, by Rockefeller Foundation, by us, by other companies, to do things that they are doing, but they are bringing all of us together into that partnership. That is then leading to other collaborations outside of Haiti. Microsoft and Cisco and Intel are working together in Kenya. We've worked together in Lebanon. We've worked together. The other day I was discovering that, there are some partnerships that are happening locally that we don't even know about on the corporate side. So you see a lot of this happening because, again, you've got to think of this as whether I work for Microsoft, whether I work for HP, or whether I work for Intel, if you are in the local community, you are in it together, it is your community that you want to improve. So you come together.
Akhtar, do you like what's happening? Do you like this movement, that seems to be of businesses coming together for community improvement?
Yes. I mean, it is good to the extent that it leads to value. If it is just coming together to talk, then I don't think it is a good thing. But what we are seeing increasingly is that people want to see things happen. People want, and the motivation can be very different from context to context. And in some cases, one company leads, another company may follow, may come together because of a different motivation. But at the end of the day, it is these multiple resources that are brought together in a way that makes sense.
5 years down the road, we're sitting here and talking, and you're looking back at the creation of this Business for Good map from the BCLC and the International Business Corps, again from the BCLC. Did it work?
I would say it worked. I would say it worked because it did two things. One, it made visible the work that companies are doing in a very attractive way, which allowed for a normal person to go onto the website and just look and see what is happening. So it became information sharing. Second, those same individuals also work for businesses. So they are now looking at it and saying, hey, if Microsoft can do it, why not Intel? Or vice versa. And we are seeing more of that happening. We are seeing more of that happening in terms of where individuals who work for companies are becoming, anxious that things are not happening. And so that changed. And then finally what happened, 5 years from now, is that we started seeing new models that came in. And those new models, because it got developed, other companies looked at it as a way that they could adapt that best practice for them in a way that it made sense to them.
Akhtar Badshah, will let that be the last word.
Thank you very much, Stan. Thank you.